Welcome to the Stronger Marriage Podcast
With Trey and Lee.
with Trey and Lee.
Yeah, we're glad you joined us today.
We are thankful that you sign in and listen. And if you subscribe via Spotify or iTunes or Google or YouTube, thank you for doing that and keeping up with our podcast. We try to do this about every 2 weeks just to give a few marriage tips. And we thank you for joining us. And we love hearing from couples who say they listen to our podcast. It always makes us feel so good.
Yep, kind of helps keep us going a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. When people say they like it or they listen, it's like, okay, we got to keep this going.
Yeah.
So we're glad you joined us. Today we're going to talk about 6 marriage pro tips that kind of keep us in sync. I like to call them pro tips because they're kind of some new things that we've learned that have really blessed us recently. And being in sync as a married couple with 2 different schedules is extremely important for us. It really knocks down on a lot of frustrations.
It is. I think, being in sync should be an important thing for every couple because we all have expectations, in marriage. We think things should go a certain way. We think certain things should happen a certain way. And, when we can share those expectations with each other, hopefully we'll have less conflicts. And so we feel like these 6 things kind of really help be able to share those expectations so that you are able to stay on the same page and stay in sync with each other, even though you may be busy and go in different directions.
Yeah, we're a team, and we work as a team, but it's sometimes tough to when you're going 2 different directions to feel like you're on a team if you're not in sync. And being in sync not being in sync can be extremely frustrating when somebody drops a ball or something doesn't get communicated. It's really frustrating when you think, oh, I should have said this better or clearer or something. So here are some pro tips that kind of keep us going and keep us from dropping the ball and just kind of being in sync. And the first one's very simple. We try every day to be very intentional to just talk, to just run through some things and check in on one another is a good way to put that. To just check in more than the average, which is about 4 minutes a day, but just to kind of go, hey, how was your day? Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds silly, but it's good to ask how was your day or what did you do today or something along those lines. It's just a check-in period.
Yeah. And if your work schedule keeps you from doing this, if you work wacky work schedule or have wacky work schedules, you can still hopefully find a few minutes in there to FaceTime, to maybe, chat back and forth via text or messenger. I'm sure that military couples we have couples that sometimes that say, do you have any advice for military couples? It's a whole different ball game, but we feel like, take advantage of being able to just, if you are able to just check in with each other and say, hey, how was your day? Especially when you are apart like that.
Mm-hmm. If you could do it face to face, that's always best. But if you can't, just some way to check in. Lee always says, this is one of her quotes, that she, and I agree with it, I feel the same way. She feels like she's a part of my day when I fill her in on what my day was like. I asked her earlier over a cup of coffee while we were sitting and visiting. I said, what did you do today? And she kind of filled me in on her schedule. And it was kind of like, okay, I get that. I see what you were doing today. Mm-hmm. I feel like I was a little connected to you, even though we were apart all day long, because we were able to just talk for a second and just reconnect after being away from one another all day long.
And the same, I asked you, where'd you go eat lunch? Because you had a lunch appointment. What'd you eat for lunch? I mean, just little things like that. Just kind of help you connect.
Yeah. And we say this in our workshop, and if you've been to one of our workshops, you've heard us say this before. Both of you need to understand that if your spouse is asking you questions about your day and where you've been and what you're doing, they're not trying to interrogate you. They're not trying to say, we didn't trust you. Where have you been hiding? What have you been doing? It's just a way to connect.
Yes.
It is a bid for connection, which is a very healthy thing in marriage. And so it's okay to ask questions like that. Sometimes when we even have a longer, busier day, and maybe we've been apart from each other all day, sometimes it's just a text to say, I miss you, hope your day's going well, just to let one another know that I was thinking about you today.
And sometimes it might just be a heart emoji, you
Yeah,
know?
we did that the other day. I loved it.
Yeah, you don't even take really time to say anything, but just sending that is enough to let your spouse know, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
You're important to me.
I had a super, super busy day a few weeks ago. It was just a busy week. Didn't feel like I had seen you much, hadn't connected with you, and didn't even really have time to send a text. And I just sent a heart. That's all I did. I sent a heart emoji. And about 10 minutes later, you loved the little heart emoji, which we both knew what it meant. It was just our way to go. I love you. I miss you. I'm looking forward to seeing you and to reconnect. But try every day to just have a few minutes to just reconnect. And if you got little ones in the house, that may mean getting them in bed. And before you turn on the TV to stream something, you just spend a few minutes talking. Go sit on the porch together. Something. Pause the TV, whatever it is, but just spend a few minutes talking every day.
Yeah, it's hard to be on the same page if you don't ever talk.
That's true.
So, yeah.
So the second way that has really helped us stay in sync with one another, and we mentioned this also in our workshops, but we're going to follow up a little bit more detail on this, is we share a calendar app on our phones, which means we are connected to the very same calendar. We both have iPhones, but you can also do it with Androids through Google Calendar, which means if I add something to the calendar, to my calendar, it pops up on Lee's phone and she sees that I added something for Tuesday night. And so it keeps us in sync as far as our schedules are concerned or as far as things are coming up. In fact, when we're done, I actually just now remembered that I saw something today on the calendar that I thought, I don't know what that is. Did I add that or did Lee add that? And I'm gonna ask her because it gives us something to talk about because it's coming up in a couple of weeks and I'm like, I don't know what this is. But it keeps us in our calendar. And if you're retired, you may not have these kind of issues of staying connected. But if you're still both working outside the home, or even a stay-at-home mama and even a stay-at-home dad and a working mama, whatever it is, you got crazy schedules and things are going on the calendar. And if you got kids with soccer games and little league, it's really good to kind of know what's on the calendar. And so when you can share a calendar app, and you put something on it and it pops up on your spouse's phone to where I know sometimes I put stuff up there that I forget to tell her about and she can ask me questions. What is this? I saw where you added this. And sometimes we'll just add something with a question mark.
Right.
Which is our way of going.
Maybe we'll do this. We need to talk about it.
That's it. That is the question mark is the sign of
Let's talk about this.
Yeah, we had something Saturday night. I put something on there about let's go on a date night question mark because there was some folks playing in a band. We wanted to go here, and so it was my way of going. Hey, let's talk about this to see if we can work this out and if that's something that we want to do. But I kind of took this whole thing and I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking about back in the old days, the good old days.
Yes.
We used to actually, put a calendar on the refrigerator or something and write all those things in, all the appointments that we had to keep, all the ball games and all the things. So this is one of those times where technology is really a blessing because how easy it is to just, add it in there in that phone app and be able to make changes to it all the time and be able to see it without having a big thing pinned to the fridge.
Yeah, I remember we've done this forever. When we were dating, you used to have a calendar on your like closet door that had stuff on it, and I think I didn't start keeping a calendar for a while, but I had to after a while because I needed to know what was going on. So
it's just it's just a good way to stay in sync. It really is.
Yeah, to connect. So so do this next one, which kind of ties to the first two, but it's just a follow-up.
It does. It follows up with the first two. Before we go to bed every night, we just kind of have this routine. Maybe we've already talked that afternoon about, hey, what'd you do today? But before bed, we usually say, okay, what does our day look like tomorrow? Maybe
because I forget.
Yeah, and maybe even the next 2 or 3 days. Let's just kind of get that in our mind, what we have going on this week. But we always make sure we know, what's going on tomorrow, whether it's even, if he's getting up super early to go run, whatever. It's good to know those things before you ever even start your day the next day.
It is. And sometimes it's even like when we travel, I'll ask Lee while I'm driving, hey, will you pull up your phone and let's go ahead and talk about next week? Because I can't think of what's on the schedule for next week. And so just to talk about those things. So it's one thing to just have them pop up on your phone, but to actually pull up a calendar and go, here's what's on your schedule tomorrow. Here's what's on my schedule tomorrow. And maybe you need to go, I'm not going to be in time to start supper. Can you start brown and hamburger meat at 6 o'clock for me? And it just keeps us in sync, and it really, really helps.
Yeah, it's a big blessing. So another just kind of follow up to that one, because we do that every night before bed. One of the things that enables us to do that is that we try to go to bed together every night. I would say, just almost the majority of time, this used to not be the case, because Trey's kind of an early, he likes to go to bed a little bit earlier, and I'm kind of a night owl, and I'm not a morning person. He's a morning person. So I've kind of had to, we've kind of had to compromise a little bit on our schedules there. But it's, even if I'm not really feeling like I'm super ready to go to bed, when he starts getting tired and ready to go to bed, I get up and I get ready for bed, and we go to bed at the same time. There have been times when after he goes to sleep, I actually get up and go, fold laundry, or most nights I might lay there and read for a while. But we went to bed at the same time, and it allowed us that time to talk about what does our day look like tomorrow. Gives us time, for some physical intimacy, for, maybe praying together and those kinds of things. So when it's at all possible, go to bed at the same time.
Yeah. And if you're working different shifts, I get that.
Yes.
If you have little ones, it may be a little tough. But if you work to do this, if you get to be intentional, and again, just because you climb in bed together at the same time doesn't mean you have to go to sleep. You can get back up. But all of those things are really important. Sometimes after we've talked, or after we've been intimate, or after we've prayed together, there's even times we pull up our phones and we'll sit there and play a game against each other. Or I'll say, hey, have you not seen that meme that I sent you today on Instagram that was really good? I need you to look at that. And we sit there in bed and laugh for 30 minutes at silly stuff that we're looking at that we've sent each other. So all of those things are it's a really good way to connect. A really good way to, it's worked for us. And we shared this in a workshop, and we had some friends from Arkansas, named the Rileys, that picked this up. And Keith and Terry had told us one time, one of the best things that they did was they started the going to bed together at the same time. And they said, if that's everything we took away from it, it's been so good for our marriage. We're glad that we came just to catch that part. Mm-hmm. That made me feel good, because it had really blessed them.
Yes.
Really blessed them.
Yes. And I'll just say a little plug for our workshop. We feel like if you come to a workshop, you're thinking, hey, our marriage is great. We don't really need this. I promise you will pick up at least one thing that you can put into practice that will better your marriage.
That's right.
Guaranteed.
That's right. Our last workshop, we had a couple that told us that they had actually been to another workshop. This was their second time to attend, and they said that they had started giving one another a 7-second hug. They had become intentional about that. We talk about that. Once you've been away from each other all day long and you come home and you see each other for the first time, a 7-second hug reconnects you. It releases endorphins. It releases some oxytocin, all these things to reconnect you. And they said they do it every day. And their small children, when they come home and see their small children, the kids come up and go, Dad, I need a 7-second hug, please. And so I just love that family is doing something very positive in their marriage and in their family like that.
Yeah. So that was an unintentional plug for a workshop, but come to a workshop.
There you go.
All right. So number 5, we share our passwords with one another. So that's just kind of, it's a great way to be open and honest, to have some accountability. But we just do this, whether it's for phones or Facebook or email, we know each other's passwords. Trey usually jokes that he has to tell me in case he forgets, then, he'll remember what his password is. But, we don't want there to be any secrets between the two of us. And we want each other to know you're welcome to look at anything of mine that you want to.
Yeah. And we share our passwords in a note inside our phones that both of us have copy to. And it's just our way of going, we have nothing to hide. It's a very healthy thing to do. And it keeps our marriage in sync because there is nothing hidden from one another. We're not hiding anything. We're not secretly having conversations with someone else. That is just one of the ways that we keep our marriage in sync, is by having boundaries in our marriage. And boundaries are very healthy for our marriage.
Yep.
Lastly,
Yep.
number 6 on our list, we are big believers in scheduling sex.
Yeah. So what do we mean by that? We often will say something to each other like, hey, it's been a few days. Don't make any plans for tomorrow night at bedtime. Let's try to keep our schedules, where we can spend some time with each other.
And boom,
You've just scheduled it.
That's it.
So that's just a pretty great way to know, hey, it's coming up. Let's, make sure you have all the laundry done before bed and whatever. All the checklist is checked off, and let's, spend some time together. So there are, people that we have some friends that say, they have a certain day of the week. And they always know that for years they've said, this is our day of the week that we know we're going to be sexually intimate. If it happens any other time during the week, that's a bonus. But we just know we guard that day. That's our day. And that's also a great way to schedule, sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
So it's a whole lot better than just hoping it happens sometime.
Yeah.
It
helps build up anticipation.
Yeah.
Are there times, and we're not saying we sit down with a calendar and put it on our schedule for a week from Thursday at 7. That's not what we're saying. But we do say ahead of time, hey, is tonight or tomorrow night, would this be a good time? Let's get the kids in bed, whatever it is. But it builds anticipation. We're excited about it. And there are people who will say, hey, sex should be spontaneous. Yes, it should. There's nothing wrong with that. But in our world, our busy world, if you're waiting for both the husband and the wife to have schedules clear and ready to go and be spontaneous and both in the mood at the same time on the same night, man, we kind of, maybe that works better for y'all, but it was kind of like scheduled sex was better than no sex.
Yes.
Because we needed to talk about it. And this is called keeping in sync. When we're in sync sexually, all those things seem to run smoother as well. It just, all the things that we have talked about, when we can talk about those things, and we have said, you've heard us say it here and in our workshops, there are times where we have it scheduled, and one of us says, hey, something's come up. This is not a good night. We offer what we call a rain check, not a hard no of no, ain't going to happen. You can just forget it. It's hey, I'm going to give you a rain check on that. And then we try to make good on rain check in the next 48 hours. And so it's just our way of trying to say yes more than we say no. That has blessed our marriage, and it's kept us in sync with one another because it makes us talk about it, for one. If we don't talk about it, there are times where I just think it should happen, and then the unmet expectations makes me a little frustrated, or you a little frustrated. And so when we can talk about it and communicate about it, it really does help.
It does. Yes. And we also share, that sex for women is a very mental thing. So when you kind of have it on your mental calendar, there's a lot of benefits to that. Most women are not just ready to go at the drop of a hat. We need a little heads up. And so, just that knowing can really help to set the mood.
Yeah. And when you say that to women, and you say that, my mind always just is blown because it just makes no sense to me. So I'm glad you say it because women need to hear that.
Yeah.
But for the husbands out there, they're going, what does that even mean?
They may be thinking, I've never thought about that.
I've never thought about that.
Because we have 52 other things running through our minds, and it just, like I said, you can make sure all the things are checked off the list and done so that you're not thinking about, oh, there's clothes in the dryer, or, oh, I still have to make the kids lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
So
You mentioned clothes on the bed a while ago, and I was sitting here thinking, I don't care if clothes are on the bed, That's just the difference sometimes between husbands and wives in how things work and how they think. But it's good for men to hear that and to be reminded that it's a very mental thing for wives as well. But being in sync, schedule-wise, relationally, sexually, are all some very healthy things to do. And when we talk about scheduling sex, that just gives us an opportunity to talk about it, to communicate about it. And that's a very healthy thing to do. So those are 6 things that have really helped keep us in sync in our marriage. And we hope that something maybe we said will help. We have coming up in a workshop, we're going to be in Faith Village Church of Christ in Wichita Falls, Texas. That's coming up the 4th of October. And then in November, we're going to be in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And then in December, we're going to be in Odessa, Texas. So we're excited about those things. January in the Woodlands, down in the Houston area. Hadn't been there in a while. We're excited about coming back that way. So if you're in any of those areas, come join us. We would love to have you.
Yeah. So we will catch up with you guys again in about 2 weeks.
Thank you all much. Y'all have a great week.